Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome back to How to CAD Almost Anything Disney Edition. We're now at session 4. We're still in what would be considered week 2, the train week. And last time, as you may recall, we've done the monorail. So that means that today we'll be doing the Magic Kingdom Railroad. So here we have a picture. I'm not sure whether this is the exact locomotive that we'll be doing. This is a nice picture to have as a reference. I should probably look it up. But in other words, we'll be cutting essentially this. So let's go ahead and get started with all of that. So here, anything range for session 3, well, this is more of the in-person stuff. That, by the way, we weren't able to meet for the in-person session 3 because there were some miscommunications. That's why you haven't yet seen a video of that session. So what I'll be doing is combining the in-person session 3 and session 4 into a longer, we can call it session 3.5 as the average between the two. In the meantime, we'll be working on today on at least this portion, which is making a locomotive. So we'll be working on the Magic Kingdom locomotive, the wagons, and the tracks. Out of these, I think in that order, I think it's going to be the order of complexity from most complex to least complex with the tracks. But we'll see, and we'll try to perhaps do the path mate that we've done to generate some motion, some animations in there. And yeah, so this was last time. I thought this was gonna take me way less time than I envisioned, but the reality is that a lot of the surface modeling in getting this done correctly took a while, and also it was a learning curve to get to the path made. But now that we've gone through that, I believe this should be slightly easier. Today, what we have in front of us is this, the locomotive. Now, I'm not sure. I always say it's not gonna take that much time. We'll see. I have a definitely. We'll start with this now, and then we'll continue with the wagons. The wagons, they're in my mind they don't seem pretty difficult because say once you make this little area in here, so one of the seats, and we can make that pretty detailed. But you make the seats, you make that little beam, and then you make a pattern, like a linear pattern that will go all the way to the front. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 rows approximately. Then it's all easy from there. So this we'll leave it for the end for that. And we can even model like the little flags as well. We won't add text, but we can definitely model all of this roof. That looks kind of pretty. Meanwhile, the locomotive also in my mind doesn't seem like it's gonna be too difficult. We'll try to give it a decent level of detail. I always go in the route, so maybe it might end up taking a lot more time. But you have an idea of what the approach is gonna be because I'll probably speed it up from now onwards, and then once I'm done with the locomotive, I'll pause and I'll explain some of the key parts that are, areas that require some modification. I think it's better that way instead of explaining every single step because I'm also figuring it out while we're cutting this image. I think at the end, once I figure it out, I'll be able to explain some of these things better. But what I have in mind for this tentatively now is we'll do obviously a master sketch that is gonna trace the overall figure. I have it's this. We're not cutting this one, by the way. I have a couple of pictures of another one that has 2 wheels instead of 3 in there. I think it's locomotive number 4 in the Magic Kingdom. But we'll trace it, and I've been looking at a lot of pictures, and the geometry per se doesn't seem too complex. It's not as curvy as the monorail, and for that reason, the cutting process might be quicker. Albeit perhaps making of those pipes and whatnot, it's actually quite simple. And the same thing with adding those details like that. That's gonna be as revolve. This little lamp in there looks kind of nice, and we have those beams. This is gonna be fun. The front part of the locomotive, making those rails. But I have an idea of how we could use a loft for this, and then it's just like a cut otherwise. Yeah, so this we'll see when the time comes for that. Um, what is interesting is that I'm looking at, say, the picture here in the front slide, and yes, I'm not sure whether this picture is actually correct, to be honest, because from looking at actual pictures of the locomotive, I wasn't able to visualize the part in the bottom. Like the part of the bottom seems more like a rectangle than a circle, but I might leave it. Honestly, I kind of like it like that, so I might leave it this way and make that like a square. We'll see. Um, yeah, so the picture that I found mostly show the upper side, upper like starting from here. So it's gonna be interesting to see how whether we're able to appropriately model this or not. So we'll see. when the time comes out. But I have this one in mind. And then what's going to be fine is the linkage system, where I'm not going to kill myself. I'll make definitely a working version of the linkage system in here, but it's not going to be particularly fancy. It's going to be decent. And the same thing with the connections. So it's going to be more of a toy locomotive, which is going to be pretty detailed on the upside, and on the downside might be a little bit simpler, because I'm really not sure how it's supposed to look like. But so we'll have it in here. And then making all the colors and whatnot, that shouldn't be so much work. So you see what I'm saying is that I'm unable to see the bottom side. It could very well be round. And I might do it that way, which is, I think, fine. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll see how much time it takes us. So we'll speed it up from here. Well, alrighty. So here we are. This is the completed locomotive. I think I'm actually very happy with the results. It looks very pretty. The only problem is that, at least for the purposes of this video, this already took a lot of time. So I don't think in this video I'll include the making of the wagon. At least I would like to make the coal wagon. I'm not sure whether I'll get to the passenger wagon, but definitely the coal wagon to have it in there. Because this was already a lot of work. As you can see, I always fall in the trap of not wanting to include as many details. Also, I have to change the colors of that, which I'll do in a moment after I'm done speaking. But is I always fall in the trap, and I do like a lot how it's looking, even with the flags in there, the level of detail in the front. Even this portion over here ended up looking much nicer than I expected it to go. So yes, overall, it's a pretty nice locomotive. So now we're left, which what I believe should be the easiest part, which is making the just the rails. And then with what we learned in the monorail, hopefully doing a quick animation of this thing moving around. Ideally, with the linkage mechanism, as you can see, it is working, right? So we can have both the locomotive moving and this at the same time. I know it's a little bit too much to ask for, but we might be able to make it work. And so let me first go here to locomotive here over here. Um, there we go. Well, that's the assembly. Let me just close a couple of these parts. There. I don't need the linkages. There we go. And I will change. Yeah, I'm gonna make this red over here. I think it looks a little bit better if we do that red. Yeah, I may have forgotten to do that, honestly. We'll do that really quickly. I know these are the parts that I would normally speed up because it's kind of boring to see me do it, but at some point I do like to speak just to illustrate some of these things, as we go. Yeah, I'll change that to red. Maybe if I go here, I should be able to change that character. Yes, just like that. Perfect. Perfectly. And it's doing the same thing right there. Yeah, I had to include those white. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And this looks decent. Maybe what I'll do is a little white rectangle. Since we're here, right? Because why not? Not that it's not that anybody cares, right? But all of these models do go online for you guys to have. And yes, you can make use of these, do whatever you want. You can continue adding more details if you want to do. So yes, I do want these to be complete at the end of the day. Regardless of, I know these details are minor, but I do take a lot of pride in these CAD models. There we go. A little extrusion of 0.1. Not care much, how much? And cut white action. Okay, now yes, so now we are in for the very last part. I'll save this. Yes, I didn't even do the hinge in the back. And there's also another part in here that I didn't exactly model, but I'll leave it as is for now, which is there's another connection in there. But I like it better this way, to be honest. This is a little bit nicer. Anyways, yes. So now we go over to here are pictures. So this is what we have to build. So it's gonna be relatively simple. So perhaps the main dimension that we need, if we go to this figure in here, is like I kind of need to know if I go here to evaluate what is the distance between here and here, and it's telling us that is 110. So it's gonna be that's the gauge of our railroad per se. In other words, let's go here to File, New, and this is we're gonna create the track. Um, the first, perhaps the first line that I'm gonna draw is that 110. That way, we have it nicely. laid out in here, and we might end up using the same dimensions as we did with the monorail, like 1500. I think that is 15, hence I will make that maybe that 10. Actually, I could make it 15. It's okay. So I'll make one of the. Actually, hold on. Let me. Where do the monorails? Yes, these are definitely thick wheels, as you can see. Like I don't mind it like that. It's definitely I could have made them thinner to be honest. In fact, I might. Should I change the? Nah, it's fine. It's just that what it means is that in our rail, when we do, yes, I guess this is we'll call it our version of the train. It's gonna be just a thick rail. That's what it means. It will make that 12. That way it's not as extreme. Actually, I'm not sure why I'm doing both lines in there because we shouldn't. Anyways, looking at a picture in here, that is the classic. Okay, I think I have an idea of how we're gonna do this. Mm. It's pretty much like this, honestly. And I'm gonna mirror. We can make that 2 as an example. Actually, I'll make that 1.5. Oh, there we go. Then I can make that 4. I'll make these two perpendicular. I'll make that, let's say 4, because why not? Oh, I'll make the distance in here be 1. And what are you complaining about? Or, oh, the height, obviously. Uh, maybe 10. What else? What other than, oh, I see that one, obviously. Maybe 8. That's the match 7. Oh, 7. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna mirror all of these guys around here excellently. And now, yes, we do have that line in there. Actually, the size of the track might be decent. It's not the point that I could increase this to 15, to be honest. And I should do that 16. Oh, yeah, 9, 8. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that should be a 6, 5. There we go. It's definitely an interesting kind of beam, for sure. Actually, no, you know what? I liked it. I liked it at 12. These dimensions looked. In fact, I might even leave it at 10, to be honest. Let's see if I make that. That's okay. Now I'm gonna mirror all of this stuff around here perfectly. And it's obviously gonna complain a moment because we're gonna create two separate bodies, but that's completely fine. But anyways, I'm gonna make this actually cool. Now that I think about it, right? I'll make this a unit of, let's say, if I have 1500 and I'd like maybe 25 sleepers. No, but that makes 500. Okay, so let's say I want a unit of So 1500 over, let's say 50. Okay, 30. That is how much I wanted. Select the contours, these guys. Okay, that's good. And now I go here to um, I'm gonna go right here, center line. And the approach for doing the curved one is gonna be pretty similar. In fact, we're probably gonna build it off from this one. I make that 15. No, that would be very little separation. So maybe make I'll make these guys 10. I'll make them 12 too. Right, what is, oh, I see. Can make that be 150. No, probably a little bit more. Let's say 180. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna bring this downwards by 15. I think that's fine. The key in here is I'm gonna do now a sketch. It's gonna go like this. So we're gonna make one of these modern types of. It's gonna go like that. Actually, well, we're gonna first get rid of some of these portions, as we'll see in just a moment. So nothing too fancy of a sleeper, and that's what we're doing right here. I will add some details over there, though, because I do want that to look nice. There we go. Okay, so for instance, I do want that distance to always be, let's say, 10. 10 might be too much, I'll say. Oh, I've been having trouble with the numbers lately today. 8. And I want this to be 5. And this distance in here to be 5 as well. I made that 8. Then, oh, then the distance separation between these two guys is gonna be 5. I have to impose the same constraints over here. 5. Oh, there we go. And why is it? Oh, I see. Let's make that, let's see, collinear. Very good. And then over here. Then I'll probably use a mirror for this one because this might be like the most time-consuming part of making the beams per se. But not too complicated. It's all relatively simple. I'll say 5. Perfectly. Um, and now all we do is extrude through on. So we have our beam, and then as usual, a quick old fillet. We're gonna fix things here. Oh, yeah, yeah. There we go. Perfectly. I click on save. I'll call it track 1, as usual. And now, the way that, so we're gonna do that very simply, it's nothing too fancy. But I'm just gonna go here to sketch, and essentially this is gonna consist of making one rectangle over here, one rectangle over there, and we'll make that separation always one. So I could have done an offset, as you can see, of one as well. And I'm gonna extrude that upwards by a tiny amount. There we go. And yes, and we're gonna extrude that upwards by one. Let's see. Perfect. And then this will be as simple as the following thing. So I'm gonna add one rectangle that goes like that, another rectangle that goes like that, and maybe run in the middle, one circle. Yes, I think this might do the trick. It's just making sure that, yes, these rectangles are properly placed. So I'll say 2.5, same thing in here, 2.5, want these to be 5 big. Let's see, and make them like this one. And make our friend the circle too. Maybe I could add another circle, but I'm not sure whether we'll have enough space. There we go. I have enough. No, but that is exactly the circle. Unless I brought the separation inwards by 3, like that. In which case I might have enough space. There we go. So I'll make all of these guys equal. Now I'm gonna extrude upwards all by 0.5. Actually, maybe what I'll do, it's a good moment to draw a line that will convert entities there. And now, yes, we'll draw a line. Give it a quick dimension. Perfect. And now mirror all of that around here. Now, yes, let's give it 0.5. The difference is that I am gonna chamfer these guys do 0.5. Let's see what does it look like. Excellent, like that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna fill it. Perfect. Oh, the only problem that I can already foresee is that with this level of details, while it's not a lot, this thing it's gonna complain the minute that I start giving this some scale. But that's fine. That's all we're here for, to see whether that's gonna be a problem. We are experimenting. Not that. But but that's the thing, right? I want these guys to be as pretty as possible. So we're gonna leave this like that. Boom. Perfect. Then actually, I kind of do wanna give there we go a little bit of a radius to this, like that 5. Perfectly. Let me just save this. I'm gonna take a zip. Now we're gonna create a plane. It's gonna go between here and here. Now you wonder why I always CAD Coke objects because I was drinking. And now I'll mirror through that plane. Features to mirror. I'll do, well, all of this. Let's see. Does it work? Oh, maybe I forgot the fillets. There we go. Okay, perfectly. And now I can hide that. And then perhaps the last thing I'd like to do is give that a 0.5, both over here, over there, over here, over there, maybe, oh, not there, certainly here. There we go. And now it's time to give some color before we do anything. So I'll save this. So now was extrude. So I kind of like, yes, this might be an okay color for this. Then for these parts right here, I will make them zinc. Cause why not, right? And I think let's see whether yes it went through perfectly. And then the sleeper, I'll just make that some grayish color like this. Perfect. Doesn't need to be matte. So now the moment of truth is whether we are able to now make. So I think we said whenever I did the original version, that's 30, so that's 50 of these. So if I do a linear pattern along that direction, it's gonna be 30 features. Actually, I could do a pattern of bodies of this thing. Okay, now we want 50. Let's see how it reacts to this. Okay. Um, Definitely looks good. I'm gonna come back in time because I want to figure out why is that fitted in there. Because I don't. I should maybe delete that loop. There we go. So that line and that line. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Maybe in a case like this one, what I might do is something else. Um, I might come to this. I might extend that, and I'll do a pattern of that. So I think it might look a little bit neater that way. So I'll go here to sketch. Actually, I'll do a sketch right here. That'll be all right. Convert entities. Boom. I'll say 1500 in the opposite direction. But I might not merge. I'm just thinking for a moment what will be an appropriate resolution here. I might leave it like this. Okay. Then I'll go here. I'm gonna convert the hen entities. I'm doing something interesting. I'm not sure whether this is gonna work, but we'll see. And I'm gonna extrude that by 30. Uh, Selected bodies. No, to select. No, I want to extrude from here. So now you see that we have two bodies, the rails pretty much and the sleeper. And that's fine. It's gonna be convenient because now if I do a linear pattern of bodies of this guy, direction over here, My, let's see. Yes, it looks a little bit better this way. Okay. In fact, I might actually leave. I'm gonna change the color. I might leave it like this. I don't mind this. Mm, yeah, we can do this. Brushed chromium. Something along those lines. All right, save. Perfect. So now the moment of truth is um, we can create actually a new assembly. A new assembly. And I'm gonna bring not only the rail, so track one, right there. Actually, I could, let's see, insert component, track one like that. So let's see whether we can actually create a preliminary animation of the train moving. So we have a mate right there. Perfect. So we got a rail. So now insert components, locomotive assembly. Perfectly. So easy. One would say. I'm gonna put you right here. And now it's just a function of what is it exactly that this is gonna be following. Um, so let's see. So I'm gonna make, so technically if we've done our math correctly, it means that if I were to make that and that coincident, and then this and that tangent, which is what we've done it there, then things should match, and indeed they do match. So that's good. Okay. So I'm glad to see that our train is. Oh, but I should probably also make this face and that face tangent. There we go. Available document capacity is low. I see why. And I'm gonna make it train on tracks. That's how we're gonna call this one. So, oh, and nothing is gonna move because the locomotive in here. I think there's a way. I have to find it. One second. Is it make independent? Oh, there we go. So I think I found it is right clicking in here. You got this little button and it says make subassembly flexible. There we go. It's been a while since I've used this one. So now, like every time you move something, so you see, well, it's not quite doing anything yet, but as it's moving, or the wheels, I happily. Yeah, so we'll see how some of this stuff goes through. So I could, so let's say I save this, right? Let's save. So there was a way that I've seen where if I make this thing move, let me think for a moment. Mm, there is a path made where, for instance, I can go here to sketch, say, yeah, again, we're gonna do it in here. Actually, no, that wouldn't be a good idea. It's just that so this is a test, by the way. So probably the one that we end up doing later, or if we do like one path around everything, which I'll make the tracks for that. I'm not sure whether we'll make the wheels move. But at least in this one, we might be able to make them move. So I'm gonna create. Uh, maybe not from here. Let me think for a moment. Mm-mm-mm. if I go here to reference geometry, plane, we have a plane that is right there, but I don't think I want such a big offset. I could very simply just draw a line that goes all the way. Wait, here, let me do a sketch in this plane. And I can draw a line that goes all the way from here to here. So let's try out this approach first. So I go like that. Um, oh, I see. I think I might almost almost have it. Um, so this plane, I need it at the axis in the air. And I do not remember, the only way to figure out that is by going here to evaluate, measure, and that guy is 105, which means, is it 105? That's interesting. So if technically I go here to the plane and I make that 105 over 2, does that bring us to the middle of the wheel? It seems like it. I'll click on save. I do have that. Meanwhile, here in the wheel, I'm gonna open that component because I'll be needing this. I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I do need to mark that point. I'm gonna mark it on both sides, then we can hide it if it works. Um, I need that point in there, perfectly, boom. So now we go back to our train on tracks assembly. So the question of the million is, how far are we? So let's see, measure, that is 10 millimeters, which means go here to edit, and I'm gonna offset our friend by 10 millimeters exactly, perfectly. So I'll make the original one, there we go. I'll say exit. Okay, so now technically both should be aligned, it seems like, all right. So assembly made, advanced or mechanical, there we go. No, advanced, path made. So component vector, it's gonna be that point, and then path selection, it's gonna be that. All right, I'm gonna save this for a moment. This might actually work if this path right here, I make it for the entire loop, which might be interesting to explore. So I'll take a look. But now let's go here to our friend. Actually, not yet. I'll go here to add-ins, Solidworks, motion activated. So now we go to motion study. Okay. Motion analysis. Then we go to our friend, the motor, path made. Um, Yes, and I think because of the tangency made, I do not expect this to move around. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not too sure. And so we'll go with this. That is too slow. That's 1500. So let's say that I want this to go at um, mm, 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 5 500 per second. That would be too quickly. Maybe 300. I'm already making a mistake, right? Because if I want this to last, say, our classic 20 seconds, right? I have to move this bar all the way there. And now, yes, I can go here to motor, path, path made, 300, and I click on, okay. Okay, is it doing anything? But we'll leave it do its thing for a second. It first has to render all this stuff. And then I think we can go back to edit the path made. Right? Probably cannot solve because it reached the end of the track. I see. Um, so now we go back to model and oh, close. No, no, I do not wanna. I do wonder whether here when we did our path mate, there we go. Edit. We do the path constraint. Let's see. Pitch row. Well, I don't. I would love it if. Mm, maybe the roll control. I think I have an idea. So we have the path made to do this motion here. We'll leave it as is. But what if, now that I'm thinking about it, I go here to our friend, the motion study, and I add another motor, this time a rotary motor. It's gonna go right there. Revolutions per second. Maybe on the, let's see. There we go. Uh, What do you think you'll do? I'm gonna create a new motion study. Yes, okay. Motion analysis, motor, rotary motor. Just trying out things. Ah, it does move. That's that is spectacular. Okay, so maybe this could be it. It's just that those wheels are not moving, but I do wonder whether there's a way to. Wow. So let's create a new. Get one more motion study where I suppose that we do go for these 10 seconds. Okay. Let's let's put a motor in here. Just like that. So maybe we could do 50. 50 revolution. I think if we do RPM, then these should both be fine. Oh, but I forgot to move. I'm gonna delete this. New motion study. And I'm gonna move this right here. Now, yes. Now we go over to motor, rotary. I'll select this bad boy. We'll do 50 revolutions per minute. Um, yeah, I think that's fine. You see now it's loading all the way up to there, and now, hmm. So why did it move in this one? Oh, I think I know why. Because it's not a motion study. There we go. My mistake. That is why. I have to let it do its thing while it's doing its thing. It's a little bit of a slow movement, as you can tell. We'll speed it up. Right, let's leave it for a moment. Sure. And now, so let's bring it back here. So the question is, if I were to add now another motor that goes on that guy, and that is at 50, will it complain is a question. We'll see. Yes, as expected, those guys move. Oh, I think I know exactly how to fix this. Okay, it's very easy. So now that we are here, we'll go back to assembly, go here to mates, and there's the gear mate. So go here to, where is it? Mechanical, there we go, gear. So I want to say that, yeah, maybe 221 would be an appropriate. Actually, I can just do this and, oh, I, let's just see. Oh, maybe I might need to go back to our original locomotive in here. Made gear. Where's our friend the gear? There we go. So I'll make that. That's fine. And then I'll make another gear made right there. So technically what this means is if I move that, then everything is moving. Oh, wonderfully. Okay. Reveal, save document. So moment of truth. This is where I'll end today, which is on the last animation. So let's go here. Let's do, yeah, whatever. Let's do one last motion study. Create new motion study. Remember to go all the way here. Then all the way here. We can change like the angles and everything later. Then for motor, we just need one, and it's gonna be this one. I will say that was too slow at 100, so let's say 200 this time. Let it do its thing, but we have to go to motion analysis. We can we'll let it do its thing for a second. And now I just have to come back and fix one of the mates because they should have, there we go, perfectly. So I go back here to the model. So I kind of do not need this. I'm just gonna get rid of that. Yeah, in fact, I do not even need those guys right there. There we go. Now I'll go back here to the locomotive assembly, and what I'll do here in the first gear mate is that I will reverse, which means, let's see. Okay, so that's going in we're all turning in the correct direction. And now I'm gonna go to this guy in here, and I think I can reverse too, which means that, yeah, I don't care about that, which means if I turn this one in here, yes, we're all turning in the same direction. Excellently. Okay, that's good. I'll save. We'll save the document perfectly. So now if we go back to trains on track, yes. Motion study 4, because today is session number 4. Then, oh, I should probably, let's see what happens if, all right, I spoke too soon. All right, let's go up 20 like before. New motion study, rotary over here. Let's see. Let's do 250. And let's go to, there we go. Might be a little bit too quick. Oh, fantastic. Okay, that is it, folks. Hopefully, in the in-person session, I'll continue adding more details and stay tuned for a little bit more modeling. But yeah, thank you very much for watching all of this, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hey folks, so in this video, I just wanted to finish up the door from the previous time. I like how it's looking now, but I would definitely have to add more colors, definitely add a couple more details. That way it looks good. I'm just trying to make it look a little bit more like this. In particular, I want to add the side part that would have been where we would place the canisters. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll probably speed up the video from now onwards, but please enjoy and feel free to stop as I go through this process.